The hangout is live finally. Yes, here we are. I was going to do a countdown, guys. It's been such an exciting day. I think the tech got a bit overheated. So a very warm welcome to the Running Guru show here live from the Shires. And I've noticed that quite a few of you are already live. So although some have disappeared, I'm sure they'll be coming back. But yeah, I'm here with my cup of tea. My name is Donato. Welcome to tonight's live chat. And as I mentioned, it's a special ginger running special. So many specials and so many gingers. But hey, and I'm here with my special biscuits that I do love, obviously ginger nuts. So tonight's theme is all about ginger, and my tea, by the way, is not lemon and ginger. No, I got you on that one, didn't I? You thought it was ginger and lemon, which I often drink, but no, it's peppermint. So tonight is about ultra running, and I've got two amazing ultra runners. They're also YouTubers, and I left the links in the description in terms of their channels. So it'd be great if you would subscribe. I may say this once or twice as people are joining in and out with the live chat. But without further ado, I'd like to welcome our two amazing ultra runners, and in no particular order, but I'll go alphabetically. And that is firstly, hello, Al from Wales. Hello, Al. Ginger
Hi.
Al.
Hi guys, good to be here. How are you doing?
How's it going in Wales?
Yeah, good man, good. Oh, the weather's amazing here today.
Yes, we have got some lovely hot weather. And over in, is it Staffordshire? Sam in Staffordshire, in the Shires.
Hey Donato, how you doing? Hello everybody.
I'm doing good. That Timmy's was particularly good, wasn't it?
I love a dark roast. I haven't had a dark roast in a few years now, so that was lovely.
So what I'd like to do for our viewers, and by the way, those who are watching, I noticed that there's Dan Runs, Mr. Cole, and RD at PC. So Rachel, hi, watching from the very Middle Earth. So now and again, my face will go this way. So I'm looking at another screen to see the comments and questions. So feel free to those of you who are watching, leave some questions, whether it be ultra running questions or just generic questions about running, because Al and Sam are at different levels in their ultra running careers type thing. So we'll be asking all different types of questions from them, and both from a beginner's perspective, but also from experience in terms of how they've built up the mileage. Because obviously I know some of you guys do some distance running, but you may be looking to get into ultras, which is fantastic because it's out in the wonderful sea. So Cole, evening Donato, watching from God's own country. Is that right, Cole? Must be Yorkshire, eh?
That's Wales, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought God's own country. That's right, Al. It's Wales, isn't it? But hey, everywhere is God's world, God's own country. And Dan Runs, hello, watching from home. Hello, Dan. And I know Danny's building up to a trail, but it's a marathon, not an ultra. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, if you are still online. We now have 10 beautiful people live online and watching this. So without further ado, I just want to ask the first generic question to the both of you, but I'll go to Sam first, as I asked Al first last time. So we'll swap it around. We'll mix and match. I'll just do flip coins, look at me Garmin and see what it says. But Sam first is basically, how did you get started in ultra running, Sam? Why did you get started, and how did it all happen?
So as you mentioned, I'm pretty early on in my ultra running journey. When I was younger, I was into running, and I was looking for something to do that was a bit more of a challenge, and there were a lot of people who were doing marathons at that time, and I'd only really just started to experience hearing stories about the ultra running world. I think as most people do when they look for a running book, they probably will pick up Born to Run at some point, and that was actually my first book, and I think I took a lot of inspiration from that, as many people do. Majority of people have probably read it, but if you haven't, it is probably one of the most inspirational books to read, and it does, when I say, puts a firework up your backside in terms of what you think you can do. And yeah, I'm now at a stage where in 3 weeks I will be doing my first 50-mile ultra marathon, and I've been training up until now. My longest one would be a 32-mile training run. So for me, it was more, yeah. So for me, it was more the personal challenge, seeing how far I could go.
And that was on your own?
It was on my own, yeah.
Unassisted, no one with a bike following you or helping you?
No, yeah, it just takes some planning to plan the route out properly ahead of you. But you know, there are many different kinds of runners. I think you do find like pack runners and lone wolves. I found myself to be a little bit more of a lone wolf at the moment, but you know, that can change. That can change. I know I've talked to Ginger Al in the past about trying to get together and do some running as well, and he can hopefully show me the beauty of Wales. As I see in his videos, there's lots of nice places he goes running there, so I'm looking forward to trying those. But yeah, I'm still very early on in my journey, and I would like to think that one day I look back on 50 miles and that seems like a short run. As you know, only a year or two ago I looked on 10k as being a very long run, and before that 5k a very long run. And
yeah,
just the more you do, the more comfortable you seem with these things. So
the body gets stronger. It's interesting you said about connecting with Ginger Al and running around Wales. One of the messages I've just had is on Trail Running Wales, who says, "Hi everyone, good luck, Ginger Al." But I'm guessing Trail Running Wales, I know he's a great YouTuber, has some great content on there for everyone. It is, I mean, obviously I'm a bit biased having recently come back from Wales, but there's lots of beautiful trails almost everywhere in the world, but Wales has some quite special ones in particular, and I think a lot of people were quite lucky because it's quite close to us. I know from where you are, you can quickly hop over to the border.
it is close, yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure. But when you say it's interesting how the body adapts, I'll come back to that one, but I'll just go to Al now and ask Ginger Al, is that how you got started, Al? What made you decide to go running these distances, which, you know, for some people it seems a bit crazy running these distances, but others it's like a walk in the park. And you've already done a number of ultras, but how did you get started, Al? What made you go to ultras?
Well, for me, I'm ex-army, so it was sort of I'd come home on the weekend and then just think nothing of heading off up into Brecon. But sometimes I'd stay up there, do perhaps 30 miles one day, and then camp all night and go and do 30 miles the next day. But that was like an unofficial ultra marathon, if you like. And then sort of the last 2 to 3 years is where I've more come on board and sort of like gone to the organised events. But like I say, in the past, I think nothing more of coming home, getting my kit on, and heading up to the Brecon Beacons, where it's absolutely stunning up there. So, and my longest 42 officially, but like I say, I've broken it up over weekends and sometimes just taking a week off and headed up to the Beacons.
I can see in the background behind you. You mentioned 42. These are miles now that you're talking about. These are big long miles.
Sorry, miles. Because I work in miles.
Yeah, I mean, some people sort of big it up and do 50 and it's 50k. No disrespect, 50k is still a long way. It's longer than a 42k, which is the marathon. But yeah, you guys talking miles, don't you? It's a long way. So with these distances, you say from a military background, it's interesting how both of you are sort of saying, whilst you've started from different backgrounds, it's sort you're almost saying it's like, well, I just went out and done it. And, you know, whether you be from a military background or not, and going out there and just doing 30 miles, you make it sound relatively straightforward. But I'm guessing it took a while to build up to that. You didn't just suddenly join the army or military and said, I'm going to go and run 30 miles. And I presume you built up to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But now
you've definitely. Built up you have to build up to it.
Yeah. So
yeah, you have to.
Yeah, absolutely. So the question to Sam, when you say that the distances, you felt like 10k was a long way. How far? And having read, you know, the Born to Run, I don't know if have you read Born to Run as well, Al?
I've started it, but I haven't finished it.
It is a cracking book. It's almost like a Bible, but it does put a fire. I mean, I remember when I read it, it's really only I've read a couple of the books, but they're all based on the same author. It does put a fire in your belly, and it just goes to what a human person can achieve. I know a lot of people have commented. I don't know whether Thomas is online from Germany, whether he's watching, and he believes that most people never reach their full potential. That there's something in here that limits people's potentials. But both of you have just illustrated, whilst we may have thought short distances, but you've both illustrated that you've gone out and you just rock a 30 miler. You've both built up to it. How far do you think you guys can go? Do you reckon you could do the Western States 100, which was on the other week?
I'm not sure what time I could do it in. I definitely need some more training. I think the issue where I am, and Al probably has a little bit more to use where he is, but it's relatively flat in the Midlands here. So in terms of altitude and actually getting up into the clouds, there isn't really much of that here. You've got the Peak District, which is not too far away, but it's very hard to train for something that's like the Western States and even those sort of temperatures that they've had there the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But I think really when you start getting past a certain distance, it does become mental more than physical.
Yeah.
I mean, you obviously have to be taking the right sort of fluids and energy and stuff on board to make sure that your body can last that distance. But it really is, I think, more of a mental game the longer you get into it.
Yeah.
So in terms of like the longest distance you could imagine you go to, in your mind, I think it's always limitless. It's just, your mind always expects that you can do more than you perhaps can, but you never know until you try. And that's sort of the way I'm looking at this. Is I've got to try and then see, and you just won't know until you give it a go. So
yeah. What about yourself, Al? Western States 100, is that on your list?
Oh yes, please sign me up. I would definitely love to have a crack at that.
You said you'd done
like I say,
50-mile race. How far do you think you could go, Al? Right now, if I said to the two of you, let's go for a run. Obviously, I'd get on my bike. I wouldn't run with you. How far do you reckon you could run tomorrow, Al? If I turned up down in the Brecons?
I'd like to think I'd give a good crack at 100.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'd like to do the South Wales 100 because that is brutal.
Yeah, I was being a bit cruel there by saying I'd turn up at the Brecons. Yeah, South Wales is pretty brutal.
Yeah.
You maybe go through the middle, go through Aberystwyth and Llangollen and all that area.
We go along
the canals. We're along the coast or the canals. But
yeah, definitely.
You're 50. You said you'd done a 50-miler. Yeah, was it?
It was 42 miler.
42 miles. It's still a long way.
42.
Sam touched on in terms of nutrition. Yeah. What do you eat and drink as you go along? Because whilst I've done 26 miles, you're doing nearly double. Go on, show me.
I'm almost as if I've been prepping this, but this is what.
Oh,
Tailwind! This is my new nutrition.
Tailwind. Wow.
Yeah.
I've seen so many people rave about that.
On that at the moment. Yeah, I've been on it now for about 3
Sorry,
weeks.
Al, can you hold it up again?
And I can't rave about it enough.
Can you hold it up again and talk while you're holding it up?
Yeah, there you go. So I've been on this now for about 3 weeks, and I have found this to be absolutely fantastic. I normally suffer with IBS, and I found that this doesn't give me any trouble whatsoever. This is sort of the go-to sort of nutrition that I use now. Like I say, it's only 3 weeks in, but I have been doing some pretty long runs on it, and it's pretty good. I would recommend that definitely.
Right. Have you tried that, Sam? You tried Tailwind?
I've heard a lot about it. I haven't tried it myself yet. I have been experimenting with various different things on long runs. For me, I've been using more the electrolyte tablets. So I've been trying a few different ones and putting those in water and going along that route. And generally, if I can, trying to use whole foods a little bit more. I know it does bulk up your bag a little bit, which is the only downside when you're going on longer runs. But if you're able to have drop bags and stuff like that, it is a little bit easier. But more along the lines of sort of hummus and pita wraps, things like that.
Mm-hmm. So more whole food. So going back to you, Al, the Tailwind, is that all you take down now whilst you're running, or do you go more for whole food or mix it up?
Yeah, if I'm going out on my own, I will take some sort of protein bars or some nutrition bars, but more often than not, it'll just be the Tailwind. But then if it's an organised event, I will sort of stuff my fat face on the aid station. That's what I do.
Is that where they have the whole food? Is that where all the good food is? Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I have heard, Al, and obviously as you've already done a number of ultra races, I have heard that that's the place to be, is at these aid stations. Just make the most of it. Is that right? Is that like you have a banquet?
Absolutely. I tend to spend too much time there sometimes. Some of the food is absolutely fantastic.
But it's always good to eat. I've got a couple of questions coming in. I'll come back to some of the questions I had listed, but obviously with the viewers that we've got on here. So thank you everyone for the questions so far. Dan Runs has commented, because I mentioned he's got a race coming up. And his is a marathon distance along the riverside, and he said it's loosely named as a trail race. He's also added that he loves tailwind, so my guess is Dan is another tailwind convert. And we've got a question here from Rachel, and the question is to you, Sam, because she's a newbie as well, and you're a newbie.
Hi, Rachel.
What's Rachel? Now you may recall Rachel. She won the Stratford Marathon, so she's a top runner, and she's got a 50 miler coming up. And she's 14 weeks out. What, Sam, is your weekly mileage? What's your weekly mileage, Sam, and how's it go up? Or what's your peak mileage on a 50 miler? Was that 32 mile your peak one?
That was my longest run. Yeah. So a 32 mile. There are multiple long runs that I've been doing. I'd say either side of that 32, you've probably got about 6 long runs, one a week of about 20 to 26 miles, something like that.
Okay.
But quite often those are broke up into back-to-back long runs on the weekends or whenever you can fit them in. So instead of just doing one long run on a day, doing a relatively long run. I know actually long run is quite relative when you're talking about it, but doing something over, say, a half marathon distance on one day and then the next day doing the same. So, you're building up a bit of a tolerance, learning to run on tired legs.
Right.
Yeah, because I think if you do go out and you just hammer really long runs one a week, you are going to end up the likelihood of injuring yourself a little bit more. So
yeah. Go on. Sorry, Sam. Go on.
No, carry on. That's fine.
Okay, so I was going to ask Alan, what's your mileage like when you were training for the your ultra? What kind of weekly mileage do you do, and what was your longest long run?
The longest is about anywhere between sort of 32, 35. I'm 8 weeks into a 21-week training program now. I've got a 50 miler in October, so I'm now doing long back-to-back runs on the weekend. So I'm up to one of them will be 16 miles and one will be 19 miles, but they will be really slow pace. If I need to stop to take on nutrition, that's what I'll do as well, and I'll build it up then sort of 5 to 10% each week then.
Right. So both of you talk about back-to-back runs, which is quite interesting. Obviously, when people train marathons, the longest long run is a 20 mile and you do that the once or whatever, but you both mentioned back-to-back. So is that quite crucial that you do back-to-backs? As you say, I think, Sam, you mentioned about running on tired legs. Is it the same for you, Al, that you do a 20 miler on
Absolutely.
a Saturday and then you're tired, but not super tired because you're going to do another 20 on the Sunday? How do you feel by Sunday night? I mean, here we are Sunday night.
Absolutely.
I think I planned this incorrectly, getting you both on totally knackered after your long runs.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for me, I think it's crucial really to get the long back-to-back runs in. But what I tend to do as well, because it's all about getting, like Sam was saying about the running on tired legs, I'll even set my alarm at 4:45 in the morning to get out at 5, so then I'm already tired before I start, so I'm getting used to it before I hit the actual race day. So I think it's all about mindset as well. So it's training your brain.
I think it's important
It's
to
all
note.
about that.
Yeah, it's important to note as well that we're not going out and we're not hammering out a long run race pace back to back. The majority of the time these are quite easy runs, just making sure you get the distance in, and probably importantly as well, making sure you're getting the sort of terrain that you're going to be running on as well. Right.
I'm getting Col has mentioned that he's done 2 back-to-back marathons as part of his training for a 50 miler. So the key you're both saying is easy runs. I know I preach about it a lot, but I'm talking to the converted here, to you two guys, but everybody watching, it's easy pace, isn't it? Yeah, conversational pace.
Very easy, yeah.
Enough so you can talk while you're on YouTube, yeah, and do the video.
You got it.
My video, whenever I'm talking on YouTube, I'm always walking. I'm beginning to think people think I don't run anymore. I just walk.
Well, that leads me to another question, Sam, because I did write about walking, and don't take this the wrong way, but I'm sure some people may do. But I'm just the messenger. And someone did comment. I won't refer to what country they were from, but they have a reference to certain types of British people. Hello, apparently we run has just come online. So hello, apparently we run. Feel free to leave a question to us all. And yeah, this lady, she's pretty flippant, and she said these ultra runners, they just go for a long walk, and, all they do is eat and walk a long way. Now that sounds like bliss to me. Go for a long walk and just eating, but you don't do that, guys, do you? No.
It most certainly is a little bit of an eating competition. I think there is a lot of truth in that, and a lot of the time it's not particularly great foods. I know that I'm stuffing down just salted crisps and jelly beans and stuff like that, which is the stuff that does sort of keep you going. I know I mentioned about nice whole foods before, but there's a lot of dare I say crap in between.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a fair bit of walking that goes on as well. I'd say it's more speed walking, but if you're going to go those sort of distances, you kind of have to pace yourself right and think about it right, especially if you're doing it somewhere like Wales, where you've got killer hills and there's lots of steep stuff. You can't be running up the hills all the time. You've got to approach it sensibly, and I think the majority of people would say they probably running the flats and the downhills and then taking it easy on the uphills.
Yeah, you can't do absolutely. A Kate Bush. You can't do a Kate Bush, really, can you? We're running.
No.
Anyway, for those Kate Bush fans, yes. So I'm just reading. I'll just ask that question so I can read this. It's funny, like ticker tape messages coming through here. So I'm looking through one eye. So the question, I was sort of joking about the person who was commenting about walking, but in terms of your long runs, and I'll ask you, Al, first. With the long training runs, do you combine walking with running to get yourself in that mindset? So if you want to answer that one first, Al, and then Sam can answer that as well. And that gives me time to look at the questions here.
Yeah, absolutely. Where I live, obviously, as you know, there's a hill around every corner. So if you start to run up those, your energy levels is just going to deplete so quickly, and then you're not going to be able to finish it at the end. You'll have a high rate of DNF. Do not finish, for those who didn't know. So for me, I will factor that in. If I look at the route that I'm going to take, I will make sure that I walk the hills and then run the flats and the downhills, like Sam was saying. But it's crucial. If you start running up these hills, I know I've had it loads of times off road runners, marathon runners saying, "Oh, you should run these hills." I'd invite them into my world and say, "Let's run these hills and let's do this ultra marathon." I don't think they'd last very long.
Exactly. And Sam, go away. Go for it. Go on.
Yeah, I think I'll repeat the question for me.
Is with your training, do you combine walking with running?
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, I will train like I plan on running it, but at a slower pace. So, I'm literally putting in a little bit more effort. I think when it comes to the walking parts, that's probably about how I would do it when I'm doing a race. So, a brisk walk, should we say, or a speed walk.
Yeah.
But I'll certainly be doing the running bits a little bit slower.
Right.
Maybe the downhills just as fast, because that's kind of easier for me. I enjoy a downhill. Not a massive fan of uphills, but there we go.
So as part of this, in terms of your long runs, and it's interesting that Rachel was asking what your weekly mileage is and what your longest long run is. I don't know if you recall, there was a lady, I can't remember whether it's 6 months or 12 months ago, but the world record holder for the 24-hour endurance running and the 100-mile, the fastest 100-mile race. The lady who holds up both those world records, there was a good interview that I read about it, and the longest long run she does is 20 miles.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, I didn't see her training plan. Now, she's saying that beyond 20 miles, she can't cope, which is intriguing because obviously she's run the fastest 100 miles. So there's something in her training. Do you guys know any details? Does she do like a 20 miler in the morning and then a 20 miler in the afternoon, which is her way of getting around it? Do you know any more? I mean, she must be putting in the mileage to run the fastest 100 miles.
Yeah, I mean, I think some people probably do have a bit more of a natural talent for these kind of things than other people. I know that I've certainly, I think for someone of my lifestyle and everything, I think I do fight a little bit of an uphill battle with it all, but I think that some people have a bit more of a natural talent for it. However, I've no idea. She could be saying she's running 22 miles one day and then she could get up the next day and run another 22 miles.
And then do the same again the next day.
Yeah, you have no idea.
Yeah.
Do you know her, Al? Have you come across this lady? I mean, the headline was that she gets around on tacos and Coke. As Coca-Cola,
No.
sorry, Coca-Cola.
I'm not familiar with it.
not the other Coke, sorry.
No.
Yeah.
I might try that diet.
As part of the 24-hour,
Yeah, no.
I think as part of the 24-hour endurance, her and a coach left the track and went for some Taco Bells and Coke, and she said that gave her the impetus to run the last sort of 6 hours or something. But as you say, Sam, I think some people maybe have that natural ability. Question for ultra runners: do you have anyone you aspire to? Who's your role model or your heroes heroes for trail running, endurance running?
I think for me, I'm going to keep it along the ginger sort of theme, and the ginger runner would have to come in for me. But I also think Gary Robbins, who's his best mucker, who's done the Barkley Marathon, or narrowly missed out on the Barkley Marathon. I think it was last year, maybe the year before. But those guys are amazing what they do. But there are loads of them out there. But those guys, they do YouTube videos and their content is fantastic. But they've got a huge following, to be fair.
Yeah.
That's me.
So you like Ethan? It's Ethan Newbury, isn't it? The ginger runner.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's it. You just missed out on Barkley. Is it you just missed out finishing? Because I think Barkley you have a limited time. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. That was Gary Rogers narrowly missed out. Yeah, I think he took a wrong turn and he finished. I think it was 6 minutes outside the finish
I remember
time.
that. Right. Gotcha. Wow. So that comes down as a DNF by 6 minutes.
Yeah.
What about yourself, Sam? Do you have any?
Brutal.
Heroes? who can you point to that would be a good inspiration to someone who's maybe looking to get started in ultra running, apart from your good self?
There are quite a few which I could name, and they're the obvious ones that got me first into it. So you've got Scott Jurek, who was mentioned in the Born to Run book, who did another great book. If you're looking for another inspirational book afterwards, he wrote one called Eat and Run, which sort of is a rough documentary of his first few years and over his first few races and how he came to be where he was. So he was definitely my first big inspiration. Then later on, Jim Worsley, who we had a little discussion about the other day.
Yeah, the famous Jim.
Jim Worsley. And there's another runner which not too many people may have heard of. Her name's Fiona Oaks. She's a vegan runner, and she runs an animal sanctuary down south, and she basically runs these ultra marathons in order to get prize money so she can continue to run this animal sanctuary and look after these animals. And I found it very, very inspirational. I struggle to remember the name of the documentary, but I'm sure I'll think about it. It's a great one to watch. I think it's on Amazon or Netflix or something.
When you find it, send us the link and we'll add it to the description here below, so when people watch it on replay, they can follow that link. But we'll get some comments coming through. Dan Runs thinks Fiona Oaks is stunning as well. And also Rachel, Nikki Spinks. I don't know if you guys have come across Nikki Spinks. Unbelievably strong woman. So there's a lot of
absolutely.
I gotta say the ultra world is full of some amazingly inspirational people and also extremely fit. Running for Good is the documentary apparently.
That is the one.
It's good when we've got live people here. giving us the
Thanks
answer.
for reminding
It's like
me.
having a radio show. You know, I don't know the answer. You tell me. Yes, I've not researched anything. You tell me the answers. Someone also mentioned Susie Chan is an awesome runner.
Yes, met her at the met her at the running show this year. She's lovely, very easy to talk to if you ever come across her.
She's done the MDS a couple of times, hasn't she? So running in stand.
Yeah, you got Sophie Rayworth as well.
Yeah.
So you know the news presenter.
We were talking about news
Sophie
presenter.
Rayworth.
I think she's gone into now.
Yeah.
I've got to say as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got to say, which is kind of apparent from a lot of the people we've just mentioned there, but one of the things that's really nice about the ultra running world as well is that as is becoming more close in other areas of running, but the women are so much closer to the men and almost surpass them in many areas as well. And I think that's one sport where most people are pretty much on par in terms of gender, which is really nice, really good to see. So,
well, it's funny you mentioned that. Is when you get to the section, Al, in Born to Run. I'm sure it was Born to Run. There was that famous race, wasn't there, where there was a Nike-sponsored athlete running against a Mexican tribe guy. Do you want to recollect the story, Sam?
You know, I can't remember that part of the book. I'll be honest; it's been a while since I've read it.
It's along the lines of and Born to Run guy. And again, I don't know if it's factually correct. So if people want to leave comments and do some researching for us, all I've read in that book, and the book states, is that ladies are better for longer distances. As the distances progress beyond 30 miles, that there's something within the physique, whatever, that ladies are built better for longer distances than men, which probably concurs with what you were saying, Sam, is where they're on a par. I think some of it may be psychological, but I've seen many races where ladies do win the races. So, which would come back to the point that was made in the Born to Run book, that the guy says that ladies are better built. There was this famous race, though, where, is it the Tarahumara tribe, and these guys can run 200 miles without blinking, and
on tire shoes.
Yeah, on some plimsolls or whatever. And the story is that Nike sponsored this athlete to race the Mexican guy, and this lady was so far in the lead that the Mexican guy was so determined in his sandals that I think it was 100 or 200 mile race, whatever it was a long race, and with 3 miles left to go, the Mexican guy passed the lady, and she was very annoyed about that, because she should have really won the race. But I think something happened, and the guy went by.
I think that had something to do with the uphills and downhills as well, because I think they were the Tarahumara were not particularly good on downhills. It may have something to do with their footwear, but they were especially good on the uphills. So.
Right. I mean, for those of you who've read Born to Run, maybe leave some comments here, or if you've read it on replay, leave some comments in there. But I do vaguely recall one of these famous stories. But yeah, there are a lot of stories there. So, you know, and Cole's made a comment here that the best ultra runners aren't fast, but they're relentless.
Yeah, absolutely.
Relentless.
Well, I would agree with that.
In my experience, with the women, where we were just talking about, I think they've got a built-in ability to kind of deal with pain better than men. Whether it goes back to childbirth, I don't know. I really can't say. But all the ultra runners that I've been with, they always seem to be so strong towards the latter stages of a race. I was on a checkpoint for the South Wales 100, and there was a lady that came through there. I can't think of her name now, but she came through, and she was super organised. She knew where everything was in her pack. She knew exactly how long she was going to be stopping in the checkpoint, and she had 16 miles to go from my checkpoint. And she only wanted to stop for no more than 5 minutes. And the guys were saying to her, "Look, you know, your feet, they're in a really bad way." She says, "No, I've mentally prepared. I've blocked the pain out, and I'm going to carry on." And fair play, she done an amazing job. So I think there's something inbuilt with women for that pain threshold, to be fair.
Yeah. So relentless. So are you both you guys relentless? You're gonna have to be.
Well,
yeah.
I think everybody has a breaking point. And as I said, it's just for me, it's interesting to see how far I can push myself and see when that point is. We're going to find out soon, probably.
Excellent, excellent. Now, as there's quite a few, I did say this at the beginning, but I'll repeat it now again for those who've come online, is that in the description below, I've left links to both Ginger Al's YouTube channel and also Sam One Man Ultra YouTube channel. So get along there and subscribe to their channels, because they're doing some great stuff, and give them some help and encouragement as well along the way. And I know a lot of you guys commenting may already be subscribed to their channel. So if you can go along and subscribe to their channels, that would be really good. But moving on, in terms of, we talk a lot about the training, and one of the key things that one of the hot topics about training, which a lot of people don't talk about, but is very important. And I know, Al, you did touch on it as part of your training, is you get up early so that you're tired and to train on that. However, what do you guys do for recovery and rest? And I believe that sleeping is the best form of legal doping that's allowed for recovery. And that's a quote I had from Roger Federer. I think Roger Federer sleeps for 12 hours a day. So he sleeps 10 hours and he naps for 2 hours. And Eliud Kipchoge sleeps for 10 hours a day as well. And again, I think he sleeps for 8 and naps for 2. You guys, sleeping patterns. Do you think sleeping and rest and recovery, is that in your training plans? Do you find that more important as an ultra runner, that you need to get your proper sleep and rest?
I would love to say yes. However, my sleep patterns are all over the place. I'll try to aim to go to bed for 9, 10 o'clock. Then I'm awake naturally by 4:30. It's just built into me. I can survive on sort of 4 or 5 hours sleep, whereas I know a lot of people will need 10, 12 hours to recover. But for my recovery, I do a lot of foam rolling. I'll have a lot of sort of like what they called salt baths, that sort of thing, to regain the muscles and that sort of thing. But yeah, I don't tend to survive on very little sleep, to be fair. Or sorry, I do survive on very little sleep.
How about yourself, Sam?
So yeah, in terms of actual things I do to recover physically, quite similar to Al with the foam rolling and salt baths. It's very important to get the proper stretching done for me as well, almost immediately after a run. But my sleeping patterns are extremely sporadic as well. I think it's you mentioned these pro athletes who perhaps have the time outside of their training to relax and do what they want, but the rest of us have day jobs and lives and wives and families and things that we have to fit in, and it's very sporadic. And I think in that respect as well, you have to have a very understanding family if you're going to take on something like ultra running. I think they either have to be in it with you, or they have to be very understanding, because it can take up quite a lot of time to prepare and rest and everything you need for it.
Yeah. I mean, it was a bit of a loaded question. Is we do have day jobs and, as you say, families, and it's all well and good that professional athletes can nap for 2 hours during the day. We'd love that luxury. But as you say, I mean, it's fitting it in, and often with a training plan is, I'm guessing if you're doing a lot of mileages, you have to be very careful of how you plan around your family, friends, events, especially with weekends.
Yeah, I mean, they in all honesty, I think my family probably misses out quite a lot, but that's where the understanding comes in. And I think once you've there's quite a few months leading up to a long race, but you can just hold on to the fact that at least after that, they'll have you for a little while longer before you probably quite quickly sign up to the next one.
Yes, I've just had a number of people. Dan Run says he's subbed to both you guys. Ian Reynolds just joined us from Birmingham. So hello, Ian Reynolds. You're a couple of miles away from me. So in proper Middle Earth, not far from Sam. But yeah, if you've got any more questions, throw them in here. But in terms of, I was going to ask, with the day jobs and stuff and training, do you find that you need to change? Do you have a fixed training plan that's in concrete, or do you adapt it as the weeks progress?
I've got a training plan, but I'm very loose on it. So if I miss a day, I don't beat myself up about it. I'll just start on the next day. I won't think, oh, I've missed that long run now, I've got to squeeze it in somewhere. I think by doing that, you put too much stress on yourself. And within that training plan, I think we haven't touched on it yet, but it's very important to put in there some strength training as well. That's something we haven't spoke about. Same as with your marathons and your half marathons. Very, very important to put your strength work in there.
Excellent. And yourself, Sam?
Yeah, I think they're quite wise words from Al. I think I'd go along with everything he said there. But I think in terms of my having a fixed plan that I'm able to stick to, it's almost impossible. I don't have a 9 to 5 same hour job every day. My shift patterns change a lot. For instance, this week I've worked 72 hours this week, and I've tried to fit in running around that. Has just been near impossible. But I think you just got to make sure, if you can't get all your runs in, like Al said, don't beat yourself up about it, but just make sure that you're staying in still good health. Don't replace those training runs with a night out on the town, and just make it might be difficult if Wales win the rugby again, because I think that's the only thing that can wait now.
Yeah, we all watched that video, Al. You were out running.
Excellent.
That was a classic one. Sorry, you wouldn't recommend that, would you, Sam? No.
I wouldn't recommend it, but I've got to say, my best 2 times this year have come after having a couple of pints the night before. So I don't know. Maybe there's some truth in it. I don't know.
Well, do you know what? Obviously, there's a thing about alcohol. Whatever. I mean, obviously, for those, please do drink responsibly. But back in the day, I mean, I did have a London Marathon winner on this live show, and back in the 70s, they would have a half pint or a pint the night before, and that would relax them and get them ready. So when this guy went along and ran a 2 hour 9 minute. Now I know some people say, well, if he didn't have the beer, then he would have ran faster. But yes, Al, that famous morning where the morning after that. It's okay, Sam. We carry on there. The joys of live technology.
I'm a popular guy. What can I say?
Well, thankfully, I'll put mine on mute. It's just going a bit bonkers here on the messages. But yeah, and Suzanne Labert has joined us from New York State. So hello, Suzanne. I know she's an elite runner, so I'm sure Suzanne will have some good questions for you guys. So if you don't know Suzanne, she's won marathons, and she's about my age, and for a lady running sub 90-minute half marathons, so she's pretty quick and pretty good. But no, Sam. We were going to mention to Al about his famous morning after, and as you say, I mean, we can understand it. Wales had won. It was a Triple Crown. You've won all your games. It's understandable you're going to go out on that Saturday night and have a lemonade or two, and you went out on a long run the following morning, didn't you?
Can I just say, Donato, it was actually the Grand Slam.
Grand Slam. Oh. Sorry.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. You won all the games, all 5 games. Yeah.
Yeah, I went out for a long run round Cardiff, and to be fair, my head was extremely hazy, but it was good to get out. I think I squeezed in about a 10 miler. So to do that after the amount of Guinness that I threw down my neck was pretty special, to be fair. Guinness,
you didn't have Velinvol or Brains SA?
Well, I was doing my bit for St. Patrick's Day because we were playing Ireland. So I was just keeping up with good relations.
That was the last game. I got you, yeah. I'll let you off that one. I certainly remember being in Llanelli. It was always Velinvol, which I think the English pronounced it in a different way, which I won't repeat on here. And obviously being in Cardiff, it was always Cardiff SA, Arc the Lark in Cardiff Arms Park, and have a pint of dark. That was my poor attempt when I used to live in Cardiff. But there was a famous DJ, wasn't there, Al, on who always used to recite those things. But anyway, adult beverages. I'm getting lots of adult beverages comments here now from people. So hello, cheers. So I'm presuming you're holding, yes, Suzanne, cheers. We're drinking tea here. We're not on beer. So this is England. You might be in the States. It's a Sunday morning to you guys. Anyway. So yeah, there's a bit of banter going on there. But what I wanted to ask as a question, what would be your key take if you're going to, if someone comes to you as an absolute beginner, never ran at all, yeah, I'm not saying they've run marathon, so they're a non-runner, and they come up to you and they say, I want to take up ultra running, what would be 3, let's say 4, so I'll get two from you, we'll go 1 1 1 each time, so look at 4 key points, and you can write them down if you want beforehand. 4 key points for a beginner who wants to take up ultras. And oh yes, Susanna said tea is elixir of life, which it is, isn't it? So glad to see you're on the tea, Suzanne, not on the beer. But anyway, so four key points for a beginner. If they come to you, I want to take up ultra running. What would those 4 be? So we'll start off with number 1. Al, what would be your first thing you'd say to them?
Well, first of all, I would say, are your goals realistic if you've not done any other training? And I would look at how far away that ultra marathon would be.
Yeah. Okay. Good one, Sam.
Yeah. So I think probably a little bit further down the line. I think if you want to get into ultras, then before that, you're probably definitely going to have to get into trail running. I think the majority of ultras that you're going to want to do are going to be on trails, and it's going to build up all the different places and muscles you're going to need for those kind of ultras as well. But I think that's definitely a good place to start shorter distances on trails.
What about fell running? Is that a very British type thing? What's the difference between fell running and trail running, or is it the same thing?
No, fell running tends to be over shorter distances, and it's not usually sort of straight up, straight back down. So you've got a tough bit. It can be further. Up in Yorkshire, they tend to do it a lot further. Down here, we tend to have anywhere between sort of 3 and 5 miles, and you'll go perhaps the first 3 miles up, and then it's a sharp 2 miles back down.
Okay,
so that's where the difference is.
Wow, so it's still good type training for being on different surfaces, as you're saying, Sam.
Yeah, so absolutely.
What would be your third point then, Al, in terms of a beginner coming to you? So you said about the goals realistic, when is the plan, and Sam saying about get running on trails.
Yeah.
What would be your third one?
Nutrition. Sort of play around with nutrition, because not, even though we've touched on tailwind and some other stuff, it might not suit everybody. So just trial and throw things around. Just don't be afraid to take out the hard nutrition. Don't be afraid to try sort of there's tailwind, there's Mertens, there's high five. Try them all, because they may upset your stomach. And gels won't cut it on an ultra marathon. Maybe on a normal marathon or half marathon, you can take the gels. For an ultra marathon, they just don't cut it.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've seen some people show the gels, but I mean, it would barely hit the sides, wouldn't it, if you're doing a 50 miler, 100 miler?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's only about 60 grams of carbs in there, where you need a lot more.
Yeah. Okay, so nutrition. What would be the final one from yourself then, Sam? Number 4.
I think it probably ties into Al's first point a little bit, but it would be to set yourself many goals leading up to that point. So what I mean by that is, for instance, I'm now coming up to 2 years into my journey. For those that don't know, because they probably haven't come along to my channel, but I set up my channel as a way really of documenting it for myself originally, from a point of a non-runner trying to go up to a 100-mile ultra runner. So to put that into perspective, we're coming up to 2 years now, and I'm just about to do my first 50-mile ultra. So, it's not something you're going to jump into right away. I looked at my first 10K, then I looked at my first half marathon, probably another marathon after that. I know that like we talked about getting carried away after reading the Born to Run book. I know you can get quite carried away, and you want to
just run and run.
That's it. Because in our minds, we can already do these things, but if you want to be safe and realistic, you need to build up to these things, and ultimately it'll be worth it in the end. I think I'd rather come to the end of a race feeling as good as I could and healthy than dragging myself across the line and going away with the van with the blue lights. So yeah, just set yourself realistic goals, enjoy the journey. It's what do they say? It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And I've had a fantastic one so far. So
Absolutely. I totally agree with that, Sam. It's absolutely brilliant. Now, we've had a few comments in here before I come on to the next point. So we've got Mike Ralph watching from Aiken, South Carolina in USA. So we're from all over the world. He said it's a Brit abroad. So hello, Mike. And Suzanne Levert has mentioned she volunteered aid stations at the New Jersey Trail Series. I presume NJ, Suzanne, is New Jersey Trail Series Ultras. Different breed of runners. Love and admire them. And Ian Reynolds said he's commenting with you on there and saying that the world's best running club is Bourneville Harriers. So yes, there you go on that one. So a quick plug on there. But and here's my quick plug before we say goodbye to everyone. Obviously, there's a lot of people been joining in and others have moved out. So as I mentioned earlier, both Ginger Al and Sam One Man Ultra both have YouTube channels. So if you click on the links below in the description and subscribe to their channels and give them your encouragement and support as you've been doing on my channel, that'd be fantastic. And yes, Suzanne Lebert is saying she is from New York, NY. Yes. And but yeah, so
I might
go on.
I might just add one point in there for good, and it was a point that somebody just touched on there about crewing on an ultra. And I think that actually, if you are genuinely I'll carry on talking. If you are genuinely thinking about doing an ultra, then I think getting yourself along to an ultra marathon, helping out, crewing it if you can, and just seeing what it's actually like. Because the hello, you hear me again?
I'm here. Carry on.
That's all right. I was just
joys of being live.
I was just saying that it was a point somebody touched on there about actually crewing for one. I think if you genuinely do think it's something you want to do, go along, help out at one of these events, crew it, because the reality of it may actually be something quite different to what you're imagining. So go along, see the event. It's something we should do as a runner anyway, is go along and give back a little bit. So yeah, that would be my other bit of advice.
That's a brilliant one, and that would be the fifth sort of gem tip. All I can say is it's been amazing chatting with you guys. I'm sure we'll have you back on, and definitely after you've done your first 50 miler, Sam. And but I was going to ask, obviously that's your next race coming up, Sam.
Yeah.
Is that right? The 50 miler. And the date for that is?
It's the 28th or 29th of July, 3 weeks away.
So yeah, very soon. When's so I'm sure everybody who's watching will wish you the very best of luck for that. I'm sure you'll be amazing. Yeah, you'll have a great time. When is your next race, Al?
Well, my ultra marathon is in October the 12th, and that's down in the Gower Ultra. But I've got one coming up in 2 weeks' time, which is only 13 miles, but it's up over Pennyvan twice.
Pennyvan, oh wow, that's a mountain and a half. That is. 13 miles, probably the equivalent of 40 miles on a flat.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll have a great time. Well, all I can say, guys, is thank you both so much for your time to come on this and sharing your knowledge and clearly both enjoying your ultra running. And thank you to everybody who's watching. There's been some amazing comments here. I've not been able to comment back on everybody, but I'm sure you've all been great. And as everybody's now saying, that you will smash it, Dan and Al. Snap out. There's some people going to Gower too. So Rachel will be at Gower with you. So watch out, Al. I'm sure Rachel will give you a run for your money. And Carl saying, cheers, guys. Good luck to you both. And Suzanne's telling me she's born and bred New York. So yes, we do love our New Yorkers here. So just run the fun runs. And so apparently Suzanne's now calling, because obviously half marathons is just a bit of fun running, you know, it's only 13 miles on a road. But yeah, there's a lot of love here for you guys. So thank you both so much for your time and coming on. And I know it's been a long week and you're back-to-back long runs and all that type of stuff. So maybe we might do it on a Wednesday or something next time. So and when you've not done a 75-hour work week as well. But hey, that's life. So and cheers, guys, and good luck. Off to watch your other videos now. There you go. So
thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. This has been tonight. You've had Sam, One Man Ultra.
Thank you.
And you've had Ginger Al
Thanks, guys. Just remember, it's 80% mental and 20% physical.
Brilliant. Thank you for that, Al. And we'll close on that. So good night, everybody. This has been us from Middle Earth, Wales, and Staffordshire, speaking to you guys across the world. So bye-bye and see you
All the
soon.
best.
Bye now.